Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts.
Hi, it's these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco. It starts with the parts.
Hi, it's these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco. It starts with the parts. From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts.
Hi, it's these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco. It starts with the parts.
Hi, it's these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco. It starts with the parts. From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Bravo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Are you into eSeries? Are you into supercars on super tracks? Are you into Interlagos? Well, tonight's the night for you. Two races on the famous South American circuit. It's guaranteed to be so good at Sao Paulo. In fact, it's going to be absolutely Brazilian. Then we wrap up the season and crown a champion at the iconic Phillip Island. Who will take out the title? Who will grab the cash? Find out right here. It's the season finale of the Repco Supercars Pro eSeries.
It's the not-so-serious show about a very serious eSeries competition. Hi, everybody. Great to have your company for the final round of what's been a really fun 6 weeks. This is the Repco Supercars Pro eSeries. Great to have Jonathan with me once again. Quickly, Jonathan, it's been a big journey to get to this point so far.
It has, and we're looking to crown a champion, and it could come from the team of our special guest this week.
Yeah, welcome, Ryan Walkinshaw. You're on the last show of last season when you collect all the cash for having a 1-2 in the championship, and you might just do it again tonight.
Yeah, I just ran in, grabbed the trophy, filled it with cash, and ran away. Yeah, it was good. Hopefully again tonight.
Well, Josh Rogers, Dane Warren, I don't want to give too much away, but they've been looking pretty good in qualifying. This is live pictures of one of you guys. He is an absolute legend, Josh Rogers. And finally, Dane Warren doing pretty good in qualifying tonight. They've been so quick so far this year. Yeah, they've both done a fantastic job. You know, obviously it's Dane's first year in the team, but, you know, he's really stepped up. And him and Josh have been a fantastic team pairing, working really well together. You know, all I hear is good reports from everyone who's been working with them in the team. And I guess that's shown itself in the results. From your 2 eSeries drivers to your 2 IRL drivers, total change of personnel for your 2 real drivers this year. And it went pretty good. Let's check out exactly how it went with Chaz Most at first, because he was the big signing, the big coup to bring him over, and straight away, Adelaide, bang, straight on the podium.
Yeah, no, that was good. We weren't expecting that because the previous year we actually had a really poor Adelaide, our worst Adelaide we'd had at least since I was in charge. So it was good to you know, sign on the first event with Chaz and get him on the podium. Shame it wasn't a step higher up, but you know, he did a great job, great drive, really exciting race. And, you know, it's been a really good season for him, to be honest. If it wasn't for the tyre dramas that we had at Tailem Bend when he was second in the championship, if he'd actually managed to maintain sort of roughly where he qualified, he would have actually come second in the championship, which would have been a fantastic result that we wouldn't have expected, to be honest, going into this season, considering the changes that we had and considering some of the poor performance we had from last season. But I think really one of the shining lights of this season from all the drivers was Bryce, though. You know, rookie coming in, he had a great Super 2 season previously, but you know, what an absolute future champion that guy is. He's a really good, down-to-earth guy. Probably the nicest racing driver that I've met as a human being. Really good to have around in the team. Great personality, and for him to go and get a podium, a legitimate podium, not based on strategy or tyres or anything like that. You know, pure pace. He he really deserved it, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do next year.
I think what really interested me about that relationship between Chaz and Bryce is now Chaz has gone from being the kid to being the mentor. It's a little bit what happened with him and Frosty. And he's actually embraced that role of being the big brother.
Yeah, he has. I actually remember when myself and Michael caught up with Chaz when we were trying to twist his arm to come and join us last year. And you know, we were talking to him about what he wanted as a teammate, and we came up with a whole bunch of different ideas. And there's a few main game drivers who we were talking to at the same time. And right off the bat, Chaz actually said, you know, I think it's time that I get, you know, a young guy, and I feel like I've got, you know, a lot that I can give someone, you know, and I want to do this and you know, this new sort of mentorship role. And you know, fair play. He's stuck true to his word, and all the way through this season, you know, he's the first one there going and high-fiving Bryce when he gets a good result, even if that good result is above him in qualifying or anything else like that. You know, he's been really supportive. Bryce has been learning a lot from Chaz, and you know, I can see that continuing. So it's been a big change for us. We haven't had that before in our team, at least since I've been involved. That kind of camaraderie between teammates.
Yeah. So, final night coming up tonight. Let's see exactly what's on the schedule for the 25 and the 2, which will be in the proud Walkinshaw Andretti United colours tonight, Jonathan.
Yeah, there certainly are. 2 races around Interlagos. It's an undulating roller coaster. Surprisingly, suits our cars very well, despite all the long radius corners. It's hosted MotoGP action. It's hosted Formula 1 action too. Phillip Island is going to cap off the season, the final race of the championship. Strategy is going to be very critical for that one. Can't wait for the Repco race facts, because we're going to spend all day on strategy for this one.
Yeah, so 2 circuits that have actually hosted both the 2- and 4-wheel versions of their Grand Prix for their nation, which is pretty cool tonight. Not many people know Interlagos had a 500cc round. That would have been pretty crazy. Let's check out who's going to be starting on the pole tonight. It's the Coin Pole Award. And wait for it, it's going to be Josh Rogers. No, it's his teammate. We've had finally a change. It's the first time all year that anyone's knocked Josh Rogers off the Coin Pole Award on a circuit. And it's his teammate, Ryan. Well done.
Yeah, no, really happy for Dane. He's been working so hard, and you know, it's so competitive in our team. You know, when you're racing against someone like Josh, and he's been so close, Dane, at several different races, and you know, really happy to see him on pole. Hopefully he brings it home in first, because I think he deserves it. It'll be a good testament to the amount of effort that he's put in this year. Yeah,
he's been deserving of that one. So what's going to happen here is he's not going to be invited to start in the Seiko 5 shootout, because he's already won that one at Bathurst. We had to go all the way down to 9th on the grid to get the 5 drivers for the Seiko 5 shootout. 2 laps around Interlagos. This is what they're going to be competing for. It is the Seiko 5 Street Fighter Edition. This is the Guile Special Edition watch. How cool is that? We've been giving these away every single week. Who is going to win the 6th and final Seiko 5? Let's find out. So here we go. 5 cars, 2 laps, 1 watch. That's the scenario, and a multitude of chances to finally get that job done right here. They're going to be queuing up behind the Cub Cadet Mowers car of Madison Down, Cooper Webster, Jordan Caruso, Anderson and Hampstead are out the back. Ryan Walkinshaw ready to help us call the action as well. We're hoping to see some pushing and shoving, to say the least, in this one, Ryan. They're usually pretty hectic, these little 2-lap sprints.
Well, they've got nothing else to lose. It's the last event. You know, it'd be quite nice if 1 or 2 cars finish, but I'd like to see a little bit of exciting action. Bit of shoving, bit of pushing, elbows out.
Here we go. Green flag is in the air, and it's going to be Madison Down with a pretty good rolling start to lead down to the centre. S. Hampstead in that Monster Energy car is stuck at the back. Nowhere to go for now.
And how fitting would it be for Cooper Webster to win the Seiko 5 watch after running the livery of that elusive Guile watch?
Last chance tonight to get it done. Anderson with a good run on Caruso. Caruso puts it on the inside of the racetrack. He's not going to be able to get around the inside of him there, so this is going to maybe cause a 2-car breakaway. Hampstead going the full send around the outside. And still on the outside, and now sideways.
Oh, no.
That was a good save. He's going to get himself some camera time, if nothing else. I don't like his chances of getting the watch from this far back.
I don't know how he saved that. We saw the big one in the All-Stars eSeries, didn't we, around that corner? Madison Down's got his work cut out for him, though. This is a great overtaking spot into the Pico de Pato, but I think Webster will save it, potentially for the Center S at turn 1.
So Webster and Down, these two duked it out last week at Spa in the longer of the races, the enduro race that we had there. Needs to get a really good run out of these left-handers that get you back onto the front straight. Feed the power on and up the hill. 2 passing opportunities really to look at this circuit.
Look at the gap. Look at the split gap. Look at how much the slipstream is worth. He's gained a 10, and it's creeping down quicker and quicker into T1.
Definitely a bigger gap than I'd like to see right there.
Can he get close enough to have a crack from a long way back at turn 1? He has a go, and it's enough to get Madison Down defensive with the virtual reality goggles on. This isn't over yet.
I think he's got to bump and run him here at the Desquita del Lago, but again, he's so far back.
We've seen bumpers used to win the watch almost every single night it's been available. Good passing opportunity at the end of the back straight, not close enough.
What a well-behaved Seiko 5 shootout, much like round 1. The rest of them have been hectic.
Yeah, we had cars backwards, sideways, upside down just about. including on the finish line when Jackson Suzlin-Harlow won his race.
He never drove over the line, he flew over it.
The teeth are coming for Cooper Webster. Use the bumpers, that's it. Get in there. Give him a shove. He's not afraid. This is his last chance to win the Seiko 5 watch in the Seiko 5 car. Well, he's definitely in Madison Down's head because Madison is parking that car on the inside of every single corner.
I think he's got him, unless he makes a mockery of this corner. The Seiko 5 watch will finally go to Madison Down, potentially on his 4th attempt.
For both Madison and Down, this is Cooper Webster as well, their 4th time of asking in the Seiko 5 shootout out of the 6 rounds. And finally, the Cup Cadet Mowers car and Brad Jones Racing are going to get to the front. That's the 3rd Brad Jones Racing car driver to win a watch in the Seiko 5 shootout. Finally, Madison Down gets the job done in the virtual reality headset. He can add a watch to that outfit now. Well done. Cool way to start the night. As always, the last 3 races of the championship are coming up.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts.
Hi, Steve's, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts. From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
Hi, Steve's, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Tired of poor sound quality while you're trying to hit those apexes? Well, Shure are giving away mobile recording kits, enabling professional quality audio solutions every week of the eSeries. Simply head to the Supercars Facebook page tomorrow, post a photo of your sim setup. The image with the most likes wins.
Final night of school for the eSeries tonight, which is fitting, given that there's probably 5 or 6 drivers in the field who actually still are in school. It's a very young field comprised of mainly teenagers, and this is exactly how the championship has been looking coming into the final night of the championship on our Repco Championship score. And remember, there is real money up for grabs, $10,000 to win. And Jonathan, the cash pays all the way down to 5th.
It does, and 12 drivers are eligible for that 5th position, all the way down to Forzen Al Nabi and Brady Myers in 11th and 12th as well. Now, your top 6 are eligible for the championship, But Cooper Webster doesn't just need a miracle. I think he needs to sabotage the top 5 to win it. But he is mathematically in contention. It's going to go down to the wire. Rogers can wrap up the championship as early as the second race at Interlagos, the reverse grid event.
Yeah, so 75 points each for those 2 races. Let's delve a bit more into exactly what we're going to be looking at in Interlagos with our Repco race facts. Lots to talk about here, Jonathan. Bit of a change in strategy throughout the course of the night, which we'll get to at Phillip Island. But first up is Interlagos.
Yeah, 2 races coming up. The first race, the grid is determined by qualifying. The second one will be a reverse grid, as we said. 75 points for the winner. That's critical for the championship in each of these races. 1 compulsory pit stop will be required for our drivers. Now, the pit windows can vary here. I reckon every lap of the race is available for these drivers. The tyres last a long distance. Fuel won't be an issue. They will make it to the checkered flag on fuel. They won't need to take any in their pit stop. But this is critical. It's the shortest pit transit time of the season, which means you need to keep track of the gaps. The leaders can't come in too early.
Yeah, and anyone who's had a poor qualifying might try and roll the dice, getting in a little bit earlier than normal as well, rolling that dice on strategy. So how are they going to start this one? Let's check it out on our Seiko 5 starting grid. It's a familiar-looking front row, only they've swapped the positions around. And finally, it's
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it. It's a lockout either way. Dane Warren's going to have the inside run down to turn 1. First pole since Bathurst last year. All Brad Jones Racing, row number 2, including Jake Burton in the Dunlop Racing car. That's his equal best of the year since Montreal. Cooper Webster continuing his good form alongside Jordan Caruso. These guys all fighting for that top 5 money as well. So it's really important for guys like Josh Anderson and Jackson Suzlin-Harlow to keep that trend going. Richard Hampstead, first of the Tickford cars in the Monster car. That's an all-energy drink, row number 5 as well, with the 888 car there as well. Falls and Al Nabi qualified really well here in the All-Stars series. Couldn't continue that tonight. Andrew Gilliam had that big win last week in the Seiko 5 shootout. Benny Smith's gone back to the Ned Racing car alongside Harley Haber. He's been in just about everything so far this week. And we have a wild card. And it's a BB Ultimate Commodore of James Scott, 22 years of age from New South Wales. Ethan Grigult's been doing some IRL racing on the weekend. He was in the Hyundai XL series at Sandown, so well done to him. Emily Jones has got James Golding for company on the second last row. And the Jeff Gordon colours are no more. And back to the 97 for Jake Blackhall. So that's how they're going to be lining up in the Brazil. It is the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. What a circuit it is. And you can just about catch our wild card. Row 2, position 5. His name's James Scott. And he's going to be the 3rd BP car. Won the BP Ultimate Race to Win competition and gets a berth tonight. And he's going to be in for every single round next year.
Good on him. And congrats.
Now, awkward starting grid this one because it does roll downhill, so you need to be a little bit careful with that one. Can the Walkinshaw cars do it for the boss tonight? Dane Warren gets a good start from the pole. And dare we say, Josh Rogers is going to follow him down towards turn 1. It looks like the Walkinshaw and Andretti United guys have got it sorted perfectly. But watch out for Jake Burton. He will be desperate in that Dunlop Racing car to try and pick up some spots early. And Cooper Webster has split the 2 BJR cars potentially.
And Rogers had a huge wheel spin moment coming out of the centre S. That's going to allow Jake Burton a run. And you can see Rogers on the defensive. Here's Madison down in the Cub Cadet Mowers Commodore as well, alongside Webster. I'm really surprised Warren got such a good start because he was uphill. He was on pole position.
Watch for drivers.
Someone's gone wide there.
About to say watch for drivers running wide, and someone runs almost completely out of camera shot. And it was one of the BP Ultimate cars who'll be dropping back down through the pack. But good start for your boys, Ryan.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's good to see Dane get a good start. As you say, Josh had a little bit of a wheel spin issue, but he still managed to keep pretty close and stay in second, so can't ask more than that. A little bit of action going on here. Yeah,
Andrew Gilliam and Benny Smith in the Kelly Racing Ned car side by side for a moment. There's a bit more going on. The 2 BP Ultimate cars, the 3 BP Ultimate cars
are into
Glorious. Look at that.
I've never seen anything like it. Fuel wars down there at the hairpin.
Should have used Mobile 1.
Somehow they have all managed to get away with it. That was a close one. And they're still side by side and at it. And around goes the wild card.
This is awesome.
This is what we want to see. A bit of pushing and shoving. James Golding takes the Kimi Räikkönen pathway out the back. He's got to use the maps to try and find the circuit. He's a long way back. And there may be some damage from all of that. That was pretty crazy.
That was the clumsiest first lap we've had all E-Series, I reckon.
Clumsy's a good term for it. There was a little bit going on, and they finally just about sorted it out. So it's a good time to check out a Lenovo Savage moment. 3 teammates in the 1 incident. Trying to think if I've ever seen that before.
Oh, so the accident began with Job Stewart in a Penrite Racing Commodore, and then it was just a concertina effect.
Yeah, that was desperately unlucky for all three of the BP Ultimate cars, including our brand new wildcard.
Drove back to the future there, did I think Emily Jones or Forza Nalnabi?
It was a good effort to get that back out onto the circuit and keep it going. Friendly fire between teammates, Ryan. It can happen, can't it?
It has happened to our teammates previously as well, so I'm not going to laugh too much. But yeah, I don't think it's happened with all three cars. Actually, saying that, I think we have had once at Winton, we did have an issue between Lee Holdsworth, James Courtney, and Garth Tander, where all three of them took each other out. So yeah, it does happen in real life as well.
The ultimate face palm.
Happens to the best of us.
Total face palm at that point.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Now Rogers is closed here.
He's gaining on him.
His teammate has been the ultimate wingman this year, Dane Warren. Is he going to let him get one back today, or is he going to cruelly deny him? Certainly doesn't look like he's letting him win at the moment.
Tell you what, I'd like to see Dane keep his elbows out and give him a good fight. He deserves a good result, Dane.
Well, here we go up towards the centre S. Does he have a look?
Didn't go for it.
Being patient for now. All right, let's put you in the driver's seat, right along board with Josh Rogers in our sure sounds of the game. Picture of concentration all the way from Gronau in Germany. He also picked up a race win recently, Wednesday, so the night after last week's eSeries. He was into it in the VSO series where he was winning at Bathurst in a field that had some pretty fast Formula One drivers in it. Also had Matt Campbell in it, so it was an all-Australian podium, that one. First and third.
Teamed up with a driver from Turkey named Ian Çanguven. Very quick. He's very quick on the sim too, is Ian Çanguven. The racing is going to continue here. Now this is...
Oh, a little bit of slide there from Dane.
Yeah, Warren had the rears locked. He's feeling the pressure. Is Rogers going to do this on the racetrack, or is he going to try and potentially get an undercut through pit lane? It's too early yet, surely, to be pitting.
There's a gap, though. If he wants to pit, he doesn't take it.
He's got a massive run and still falls in behind him for now. Even maybe gave him a little push down the front straight.
And here's why they don't want to battle, because look how close the Dunlop racing car of Jake Burton is, along with his teammate Madison Down, along with Webster. The pit window is open. I'm telling you right now, if they want to come in, there's a gap 20 seconds down, which is the pit transit time, where they can get into some clear air.
If you're BJR, and BJR do have their real-world engineers on these cars working with their drivers in the E-Series, surely you make a call. If you're Andrew Edwards with Jake Burton tonight, have a crack at the undercut while the two Walkinshaw Andretti United cars are fighting. Back into the infield part of the track. Climbing up the hill. There's some curbs that you can cut through here as well.
Warren points it to the apex. Rogers goes for a little later apex. You have to hug the inside here because that's where all the camber is. And then the bico de pato, because it's shaped like a duck bill. And that is as good as my Portuguese will get this season.
It was impressive.
Not bad.
Very good.
Rolled off the tongue. 1:33.2, Seiko 5 fastest lap at the moment is the driver who's fourth on the racetrack, Madison Down, in the Cup Cadet Mowers car. It's a decent train of supercars. Jared Filsell up 2 spots from 10th to 8th in the Red Bull racing car. They had a great weekend last time when we had Shane Van Gisbergen racing. Does anyone come in this time by? Here's a chance for the pit entrance on the left-hand side. None of the front group are going to have a crack at it yet.
Filsell did.
So Filsell from 8th in the field, first to pit. So let's put that little number in the back of our head, position 8, and see where he's going to pop out in the grand scheme of things as they flick up some sparks through the centre S.
He's joined by Josh Muggleton and wildcard James Scott. You can't make that one compulsory pit stop on the final lap of the race. But for Jared Filsell, he's going to get quicker as the evening progresses because I think he's down on practice and testing time for this week. It's not like the real world where you just show up to the racetrack and that's all the track time you get. It's all about what you do during the week. And Chad, I will say this. a very clean race so far compared to the All-Stars eSeries race we had with the safety car intervention.
That applied to just about every single track we went to. There is our wild card, James Scott, 22 years of age, has a lot of V8 Supercar online racing experience, has won online championships, plus some of the V8 Scops races, which if you've been a regular to this series, we've talked about before. That championship recently wrapped up by Madison Down. So there's so many different championships that they can duck in and out of on iRacing. And that is the simulator that we're watching today. Is Ethan Gould is into it, and there's 3-1. I think one of those was the Penrite racing car of Job Stewart, and Jackson Suzlin-Harlow unfortunately getting shuffled back, and Ethan Gould is around. He's been getting more and more frustrated each week the more that happens. And Shannon's insurance car is going to drop a lot of time. This is an awkward one, Ryan.
It's a little bit awkward. I'm pretty sure he knew where he was, so looked a little bit more deliberate than I would have thought. But yeah, at least he's got Shannon's insurance on his car. He's going to get some cheap repairs, so well done him.
He also has a quick repair if he needs it when he comes through the pits.
Absolutely.
And a lot of drivers taking that opportunity right now.
Dane Warren has entered the pits from the race lead, and he's had a long pit stop, 10 seconds. So Rogers now in clear air. Has to nail this undercut, but for Warren, the undercut's worth 1.1 seconds. But will he have the rubber at the end of the race?
So does Josh Rogers come in next lap, or does he use that clean air to try and lap quicker than his teammate? Phil Sell is going to fall back in behind Suzlin-Harlow, who's down a lap now after that little drama a moment ago. And Cooper Webster's going to be looking pretty good here as well. Cooper Webster very close to the back of the Middies car, which goes to show that that pit stop was a little bit slow for Dane Warren. Only 0.1 of a second's difference in the pit stop, which is unusual because they looked a lot closer than what the gap was beforehand.
And I think that comes down to braking into pit entry and even pit exit too, and how you nail that. And that's what we do when we calculate pit times. It's not just entry to exit, it's actually final corner to about turn 4 on the racetrack, I would say. I have to look at my track map. But it's because you have to account for the acceleration time and the time you lose as Rogers reacts. He comes into the lane along with the Dunlop racing car of Burton. Sam Blacklock, you can see in the background, and Andrew Gilliam have also entered the lane.
Yeah, Blacklock in the number 17 Shell V-Power car having a pretty good night tonight. So is Rogers going to pop out ahead of his teammate? The rejoin is on the back straight. It's a bit of an unusual scenario with this Grand Prix style circuit. And watch for Cooper Webster as well in that Seiko 5 car. Here we go. He can just about lock eyes on his teammate from here.
It's going to be close on exit.
He's done it.
He's got the speed though. Here comes Dane Warren. And Josh Rogers has easily covered off his teammate. Cold tyres for a second. If Warren wants it, he needs to get it back instantly. And that is how close it is, about 0.2 of a second. Josh Rogers gets the job done. His pit stop was 1/10 of a second quicker than Dane Warren's, and that was enough.
And Ryan...
Whoa, I think that was Josh. Sorry to interrupt. I think that was Jake Burton. He went way off the circuit in the background. And he has lost out to potentially Cooper Webster. So Cooper Webster fighting for his first podium here.
Hopefully he doesn't cop a slowdown penalty. Great strategy from Jared Philsell, by the way, who's made up a few seconds. But how about this, Ryan? Your driver of Josh Rogers, and hey, add Dane Warren to that. They could be $10,000 and $7,500 richer at the end of the night if they finish first and second.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what's the great thing about the Repco Supercars eSeries is that, you know, there's some decent prize money on offer. So, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, this is a hobby and a passion more than a job. So, be able to reward these guys with some sort of financial outcome at the end of the series is, you know, a pretty great objective for this series. And hey, at the end of the day, these guys will be earning more prize money than any of the actual supercar drivers IRL. So. Yeah, I think that's something they can boast about.
Yeah, well, I reckon Josh Rogers will be taxed on that too, because he's earned so much money this year from sim racing.
He might be Australia's best paid racing driver.
Between him and Daniel Ricciardo at the moment. He's having a crack at it over there in Germany. Good rejoin battle coming up here with Madison down. Is he going to pop out ahead of Cooper Webster? It's going to be close. This is for a podium. These two were fighting for the last spot on the podium last week with Jared Philsell, and Webster's got it done for now. But the Cub Cadet car will have the better tyres later on.
This is critical for prize money. We talked about Warren and Rogers are first and second in the championship. Madison Down, Jared Philsell, Jordan Caruso, all fighting for over $1,000 here. So any accident, we say there's no repair bill, but it could be a $1,000 incident if they cost themselves some vital points this evening.
Madison Down and Cooper Webster were the two fighting for the watch earlier, and now they've switched spots. And if anything, I think this shows how far Cooper Webster has come in 6 weeks, that he can actually compete with a guy of Madison Down's strength, who is very, very quick in sim racing.
And he was picked last out of 7 picks in the draft. Blew his engine twice, blew it at this racetrack from the lead. And I was telling my friends, not telling anyone important, but I was telling them, you got to pick him first. He's going to be the best driver out of the draft. Both he and Jordan Caruso have been very impressive coming out of the draft.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He was lucky to actually get selected at all in the end. Taken last in the draft and defending for his life already. It's a long way home to be defending from here. And this is going to bring Caruso, Burton, Philsell, Anderson all into this fight. And it's also going to really help Rogers and Warren streak away slow out of the center S.
Down looks like he's going to have a crack here.
And Webster's going to send him the long way. He's got the inside line. He's going to make himself very difficult to pass. Switchback is on potentially. Makes it work. And now he's wrestled the inside away from him for turn 5. Gives him a little bit of room at the exit. This is an awesome battle.
Yeah, good battle.
Now Webster's got the right-handers just in time as Caruso arrives to give him a shove.
The more they keep fighting there, the more they're going to have the guys behind them catching up and getting... Oh, give him a little nudge there.
Here comes the pushing. Philsell's into this one as well as Jake Burton. They're going side by side now. This is one of the scraps of the season so far.
Oh.
Got it all locked up, and that will just about do it. Finally, Madison Down gets his man, and there's going to be more of this over the next 3 or 4 laps.
I was about to say there was some great work there by Webster to manage to keep Down behind him.
Philsell with the double move, 3 wide, heading into the last couple of corners, and he picks up a couple of spots in the one hit. Move of the night from Jared Philsell. Move of the series, potentially. That was awesome.
And for Philsell, he had a 4-point gap on Caruso for vital prize money. This is a critical pass that could have earned Jared Philsell a couple $1,000. Now, was it legal?
Yeah.
Justin Ruggio will be looking into that, our driving standards observer.
Well, as the guest, you get to throw your weight in on these decisions as well, I think, tonight, Ryan. Are we okay with using the bumpers tonight?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. More the better. I think there was a little bit of butt touching there, should we say, from Philsell to get himself past. But, you know, he managed it. And, hey, it's only illegal if you get pinged for it, right? So go harder.
Absolutely. Better ask forgiveness than permission in the E-Series as Anderson and Burton square off. And Caruso getting frustrated. The battle scars are starting to show. And more drivers coming. Just when you thought this battle pack needed another wild card, here comes Harley Haber. And he throws from the fences, this kid.
If I can't see, it's not illegal.
Yep. Watch the Kubota car. He's not here to make friends, Harley Haber.
It's odd because he's been... oh, there he goes.
And straight into it. Anderson around. Caruso caught up. And I think that may have been Sam Blacklock trying to sneak by around the outside. And already Haber picks up 2 spots.
And I'm not sure if that's a car. But when he turns, yes, it's a car.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola racing car.
Yeah. It's a crushed Coke can now.
Richard Hampstead, by the way, pits from the lead, so he'll give the lead up to Josh Rogers now, and he makes his 1 compulsory pit stop. This is another scrap that's going to continue to turn 1. This, again, could cost Jordan Caruso, and he'd need to lose a lot of spots here for him to lose that $1,500 to finish 5th in the championship. Blacklock still fighting here on the exit of the center S. Very slippery point of the racetrack here. It's tough to go 1 and single line through here. Imagine 2x2.
Bang, shoves himself back onto the racetrack. Needed to get back on the black stuff, and he pushed his way back across. Sam Blacklock on the outside, though, at the end of the back straight, and has to fall back in behind him. So let's see if we can decipher exactly what's happened to kick all this off. you going to find a guilty party in here for us, Ryan, or is this all fair play?
So far, all fair play. Looks like that may not have been.
I don't think it was.
I don't know how he lost his bonnet. Oh, there it goes.
There it is.
There, yeah.
Off the side of Sam Blacklock.
It's going to be a happy virtual marshal there, picking it up and getting it signed and taking it home for his garage, for his man cave.
Brazilian man cave.
Brazilian man cave. Just full of hanging meats.
So it's hard to see exactly who was at fault for any of that. Oh dear. I like that. We're at the home event and centre, Sao Paulo, in this 80-year-old circuit. It's been open since 1940. Cool bit of history around here.
Mark Winterbottom raced around here in 2018. He did give us an insight into what it's like to drive to the circuit with all the top-notch security and bodyguards he needs just to enter the venue safely.
Yeah, apparently it's complete madness going to a race in Sao Paulo, which would be pretty cool to see. The Brazilian Grand Prix certainly had its moments, especially for the biggest Hamilton fanboy in the world sitting alongside me. It's not Ryan Walkinshaw.
Oh, come on.
As Gilliam gets the move made on Haber. I think Haber might be wounded here. You're going to drive at Walkinshaw with a haircut like that, would he, Harley Haber?
Yeah, he would. He's doing well. I think he's been looking at a couple of pictures of me back circa 2010. I'm glad I've inspired a new generation of long blonde-haired DJ wannabes. Fantastic.
We've even got some DJ.
Got to give it back.
Sponsoring cars, a Pioneer DJ involved in the sport as well, which is pretty cool. How's the DJ scene going for you lately? Did you bring the
pretty lukewarm.
Yes.
It's been a while, a little bit. I've got rusty fingers these days.
DJ lukewarm, that could be your
DJ lukewarm.
Let's see what's happened here with Sam Blacklock. Actually, it was Caruso falling back a spot. And trying to hang in there at the inside. There is Blacklock going around the outside. The big slide. Couldn't make that one stick on our Repco race replay. Pretty cool action down through the centre S.
Great camera shots too, provided by Istvan Bello, who does a great job with the camera packs here. The track claims 22, and credit to him.
This is the track where Alonso hopped on a camera, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The famous deck chair shots.
Hopped on a deck chair. I think that was my Twitter profile photo for about a year.
All right, so finally we get a bit of a read now that the pit stops have walked through. We're heading into the last lap right now with Josh Rogers and Dane Warren first and second. Here's Mr. Cool. Loving the new camera position this week, and the lighting around the back of that shot as well is doing a bit.
Lighting is fantastic, isn't it? He's had that installed. That must have taken a bit of a while to install that. I'm very impressed. I wonder if he's got like, I want to see if he wins, that he pushes a button on a remote control and it turns into like disco lights, or like if he changes his mood, if he gets taken out or something.
There's a button on the steering wheel.
Very atmospheric.
Yeah, like one of those mood rings.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like that.
The one where you spend $5 and never get your money back.
I'm sure we'll be speaking to at some point tonight. We'll have to ask him. He's driving beautifully at the moment. Josh Rogers has an I rating of 9,734 if you're on iRacing. I guarantee you your number is not that high.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds impressive.
It's very impressive. How do you go on iRacing? You're more of the first-person shooter
I'm a big gamer, but I'm not a very good racing sim racer. I can do it, but not.
You're a very good sim racing team owner. I'll give you that.
Absolutely, that's all right. I'll take that.
You're about to check in for your 8th victory of the season already. And it's only race 15 of the championship, so better than 50% record for Walkinshaw Andretti United. And the Mobile One Appliances Online, Josh Rogers, Commodore, is going to cruise to victory here in Brazil. It's closing night, the final night of the eSeries, and Josh Rogers moves one step closer to back-to-back titles.
Boom, well done, boys.
And it's a 1-2 once again. Got the job done through the pit window. Bided his time. And all he had to do was pit on a different lap to Dane Warren, and he got the job done as this fight goes all the way to the checkers. And just hanging on, and that could be for some money later tonight. Jordan Caruso sticks it in 9th position tonight. There's your man who's second, wiping the sweat off the brow. And another big bank of points. Madison Down coming third. And just about going to be there's still too early to call who's going to be second and third in the championship just yet. That fight's got to go a little bit longer tonight, probably to Phillip Island, as we check out exactly how they all finished up tonight in Brazil for the first of the 2 races there. Josh Rogers first now, but he'll go off the back for the reverse grid race. Madison Down wrapping up the podium. That awesome battle with Cooper Webster. Cooper Webster just cannot get that first podium. Jared Philsell, one of the drivers of the race, went from 10th to 5th with some pretty smooth moves. Richard Hampstead also drove really nicely as well. Actually, both of the tick the cars are up the better part of 7 or 8 spots. Harley Haver up 8 spots as well, one of the biggest movers in the field. Emily Jones, one of the 3 Beep Ultimate cars that unfortunately got pushed around, and I'm pretty sure that Jake Burton picked up a penalty in there as well for all of that because he dropped a long way down to 15th. Okay, Repco highlights. Ryan Walkinshaw on the desk tonight for the final night, watching his cars go 1-2 in the opening race of the night. Any nervous moments for you in that one, Ryan?
To be honest, not really, because I just know how capable both the drivers are. So even when they're battling with each other, you know, there's not really 2 drivers in this category that you'd be more comfortable with having a fair, clean fight. And you know that Josh isn't going to do anything stupid, just like Dane hasn't done anything stupid to Josh this season. So you know they're going to keep it clean. You've got to race hard with each other, but they race fair, so it wasn't too bad. It was quite fun watching all the other guys all flying around and bashing into each other and taking each other out, spinning them.
There was actually quite a bit going on. It started tame, and then it really started to kick off at the end of lap 1. The 3 BP Ultimate cars were all into each other. Ethan Grigor got turned around. This is through the pit stop window, and this was pretty tight between your 2 teammates.
It was tight. I mean, Dane lost a little bit, as you guys mentioned. He lost a little bit of time in the pit stop, which probably hurt him a fair bit, and he had the opportunity to try and get back in front of Josh on some warmer tyres while his were cooler, but yeah, unfortunately couldn't get it done for him.
Some good scraps further back in the back, and the Coke can
getting crushed.
Ping, and unfortunately out of action. And it was Josh Rogers picking up win number 8. That's 9 for the team so far this season. They are just looking so strong. And the perfect time to cue in Josh Rogers in our Shore Live chat all the way from Germany. Hey, congratulations. 1 step closer to the championship, mate.
Yeah, hey guys, cheers. Yeah, that race, obviously quali didn't go quite to plan. I think there was some server issues and lost my lap there. But no, at the end of the day, you know, I've come into this round just trying to score consistent points. I think that's ultimately the main goal. Stay out of trouble. Reverse grid race, that's honestly probably going to be the decider. But yeah, we'll see how we go. But no, I was really happy with the performance there. Didn't expect to come out in front of Dane, to be honest. I thought the undercut would have been a little bit stronger, but yeah, no, it was some great racing between us, and fantastic to get another win for the team.
We've got the boss on the desk tonight, Ryan Walkinshaw, and he's been very impressed with your driving ability, but also the light setup that you've got in the background. Talk us through the awesome home lighting you've got in the roof.
Yeah, we've just got some Philips Hue, and I figured, I don't know why I didn't think of this before now, but I figured, you know, may as well make it the Appliances Online colours, you know, to try and mix it up. But yeah, I don't know why I hadn't thought of it until now, to be honest. It's a little bit of a brain fart there, but got it for the last one.
Well done. Congratulations. Off the back for the next one. So good luck with that, mate. All right, we'll cross over and say a big warm welcome to our wild card for the night, driving for the BP Ultimate team. This is really cool. You're going to be on for the entire championship next year. How was your first race in the series?
Yeah, wow, that's definitely a ring of fire out there. It's really good to be involved. So thanks to the guys at BP for giving me this opportunity. But yeah, that first race was pretty chaotic, and I'm sure the reverse grid will be much of the same.
I was just about to say it. We'll let you get set for the reverse grid race, because if you thought that one was crazy, you've got to check this out. Reverse grid racing from Interlagos is coming up very, very shortly. Just 2 races to go in the championship. The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Lenovo Legion. Game with speed.
Hi, Steve's, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts. From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
Hi. It's these, thanks.
Good choice. That'd be $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries is proudly brought to you by Lenovo Legion. Game with speed.
Not far away from going to the reverse grid race at the home of the Brazilian Grand Prix Interlagos. Big warm welcome wherever you're watching around the world. If you're watching on Fox Sports or KO here in Australia, watching via Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, anything to go and enjoy all the action in many, many different ways via the Supercars social media pages. 2 races to go, championship picture. Well, we're giving out cash, Jonathan, to the top 5. So how is that sitting at the moment?
Yeah, so we're looking at a live points update here. 100 points is the gap between Josh Rogers and Dane Warren for the championship. Now, there's 225 points left in these final 2 races. Josh thought it would be wrapped up in the reverse grid race. I don't think so. We'll see how Warren fares in this next one. And 8 drivers are still in contention for those prize-paying positions in the top 5.
All right, so Ryan, for now, there's still that chance that you could lose the 1-2 in the championship if something goes wrong for you in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and reverse grid as well. You know, anything can happen, and we've seen some of the chaos that can happen in some of these reverse grid races. Not only for the main game drivers and supercars at the beginning of this year, but also for the pro races in this season. So, you know, fingers crossed they'll be able to keep their nose clean and just make their way through. At the end of the day, a lot of the guys they're racing against, they're starting at the back with them as well, like Down and so on. So, you know, they're in the same fight that we are. So hopefully it's a nice clean race, and if there is any carnage, we're not the ones involved.
Sounds like there's been 1 or 2 penalties from that last race as well. So rejigging the grid, good chance to chat with Dane Warren, who was second on the road in that last one. Nice driving, buddy. Good work on the Coin Poll Award, by the way, tonight. That one feel pretty good?
Yeah, it did first of the season. Unfortunately, you couldn't get more, but yeah, the server had a bit of an issue at the middle of the session, and I think a couple of our laps got cancelled, but so I think I got a bit lucky, but yeah, pretty happy to take one at least.
Dane, it's Jonathan Simon here. I'm thinking you don't need a miracle to win this championship, but have you considered sabotaging Josh's German internet, perhaps?
I think that's doing it for himself with all these fucking thunderstorms in Sydney at the moment. I think we might see a bit of internet issues this race even.
Yeah, I think that's half the drama that we're getting at the moment. We've got the boss watching over your shoulder tonight. Does it make you nervous knowing that Ryan Walkinshaw is here watching you every move that you make?
The big cheese.
It does now. It does now.
You got any advice for him, Ryan?
I've got any advice for him?
Yeah.
Mate, I'm not the person to be asking advice and tips on sim racing. I think I might get getting some tips from Dane myself.
Elbows out, maybe, for the reverse grid race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right, let's cue him up. Nice work. We'll let you get your race face on. That's the one right there as we get set for the reverse grid race. And this is how we're going to cue him up on the Seiko 5 starting grid. And we're unsure if Jake Blackwell's going to be joining us for this one. I hear that he might have some sim issues at the moment. So it's good news for James Golding, who's going to be off the front row. Emily Jones, good chance for her to cash in some points. Josh Anderson, great starting spot for him. Ethan Gould, can anything go his way? Maybe tonight. Suzlin Harlow with some grid penalties coming up as well. Brady Myers and Ben Smith in the Ned Racing car. Jake Burton, he'll be pretty quick out of 9th. Same with Forzan El Nabu, who's gone off a little bit in the last couple of rounds. Job Stewart, the youngest in the field, and again the oldest in the field, Josh Muggleton, lining up alongside each other. These two just always find each other. There's the wild card, James Scott. Fuel Wars on row number 7. Behind them, Jordan Caruso and Harley Haber. Those two had their differences in that last race. Andrew Gilliam and Richard Hampstead, pair of Tickford cars coming out of row number 9. Jared Philsell was putting on the moves in that last one. He'll be starting alongside Cooper Webster. That's the 10th row. Fast cars off the back. Madison Down 21st. Dane Warren 22nd. And how far will he go up the field? Josh Rogers 23rd on the grid. Wouldn't put it past him that he'd get to the top 5. Expect an extremely early pit stop for Josh Rogers, maybe as early as lap 1. It's a bold play, but it's the best way to get out of the traffic. There's James Golding for Team 18, and he does have pole position. Unfortunately, Jake Blackwell not on the grid as we get set for the reverse grid race. There was some fireworks in that last one, and surely we'll see some fireworks again. 2 to go in the eSeries. Can James Golding get car 440 moving the Sid Chrome Tools Team 18 entry? He's under fire. Great start already from Anderson. Who was that going hard right?
Freddie Myers in the Pioneer DJ car, and he's been turned around again. He's going to have to rejoin at the back of the pack.
Frustration for Brady Myers. Quick on the ovals. Not quite getting the luck tonight as we go down the backstretch, queuing up behind James Golding. Golding, Anderson, Jones the top 3. Anderson's been really quick, and Golding's going defensive. He's going to try and keep him at bay. Bit of a shove. If Anderson can break free of Golding and gap the field, he wins this race. No doubt about it. Just one problem. There's a real-world Supercars driver in his way.
And he fared very well here in the All-Stars E-Series. Just finished off the podium. Finished P4 when he represented Team 18. That was in the Irwin Tools Commodore. He's in the Sid Chrome Commodore for this round. Very good sim racer is James Golding. He's got another opportunity here to defend, and that is a lock-up for a good whole 50 metres into the apex of the corner.
Just dragged that right front virtual Dunlop tyre all the way in. Under heavy fire right now. Driving Chris Pither's car, Josh Anderson, does quite a lot of racing in the real world as well, and he's got a perfect run up the straight. This will do it. Change for the lead. Now watch for early pit stops as well. There may be 1 or 2 guys at the back who come in here. Emily Jones in the fight. Wanting second. Early pit stop indeed. Was that Ethan Grigg-Gould who came flying in? It is. Given his track position, that's an unusual call. As Jones trying to make the move stick on Golding, and Golding gets into Anderson and pushes him off the road. Leader goes off.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. Nothing going the way of Team Sydney tonight. That was his chance too.
Great awareness by everybody around to give him space to rejoin. Some drivers aren't as kind, because if you don't give him space to rejoin, you could cop the penalty. I've received a penalty like that one day racing. It's very unfair.
And this is going to be a really tough one for Golding to try and redress if he needs to, because the Coke car's 5 or 6 spots back now as someone has a big lockup. Still side by side, Jackson Suzlin Harlow to the inside of Emily Jones. May have been Jones who had that lockup, and she's on the outside now with Jake Burton. These two have raced each other pretty hard throughout the course of this season. Had some pretty good battles.
You can see why Ethan Grigg-Gould decided to pit in the Shannon's Racing Commodore.
Actually, it's a good point. As Burton slides up in the hairpin. They were 3 wide for a second. Golding still leading this race, running for the hills. Emily Jones has a wry smile on her face. I think she's enjoying it. Cool to see her fire up the grid in a rig that she built with her dad, which is pretty cool.
So, Ethan Grigg-Gould, Josh Muggleton, Andrew Gilliam, Sam Blacklock, and Jared Filsell all pitted on the opening lap. Now, I'm not going to even bother trying to pinpoint who's decided to pit this lap. Emily Jones, Ben Smith, oh, goodness gracious, James Scott, Forsenal Narby, Jordan Caruso. Surprised there haven't been more. Now, the 2 Walkinshaw cars have stayed out, Ryan.
Yeah, they have. Obviously, I'm with you guys, so I don't know. I can't text the engineers and ask them what's going on and try and understand the strategy. But I'll pretend that I look like I know what I'm doing.
Is that what you do?
Clearly, it's the right move. They know exactly what they're up to, and yeah, hopefully this gets us in the battle.
Is that similar to what you do at the race?
No, absolutely. I just look busy and pretend that I know what's going on, and occasionally have to tap the engineers on the shoulder and ask them what's happening. So
what lap is it? Oops! Oh, Job Stewart and Harley Haber. Good catch from Haber.
There we go. Oh, he's tapped him in the bum.
Haber's going to give him one back here. If you're going to hit someone, hit him hard enough. As Burton's into it. Cooper Webster might be able to pick some spot. There's Josh Rogers, who's already caught these guys. There's the return serve. That was absolutely revenge.
And he's about to take out Rogers. No, stay away from my car.
Rogers got away with one. He's got some damage.
He's got a little bit of panel beating, yep.
There was no doubt about that one. That was straight back across the net. Across at Job Stewart. And now Rogers gets into him.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And he's going to come out right in front of everyone.
Back of the net.
And another up towards the top turn, as well as Warren tries to get around the outside. Keep the foot in the bucket up the hill. Now, this has worked out quite nicely for Rogers, but someone in this pack will surely be thinking, pit stop, get me out of here, please. And it might be Hampstead on the inside. No, it's Job Stewart.
I've got no clue what I'm watching, but I love it.
Yeah, it's Josh in front of him.
Absolutely love what I just saw that past lap.
I think Josh may have to have come in. That's forced his hand because that car surely has damage. He'll need a quick repair. Fast repair.
They do have a fast repair available, so luckily enough, it won't cost him any time in the pit lane.
Invisible pit crews, that'd save you some money, Ryan.
It would, wouldn't it? Getting some ideas. Might send that through to the Supercars Commission as a cost-saving initiative.
Autonomous changing tyres.
I like your looking busy strategy. Grab an apple, frown all the time.
Yeah, look grumpy.
Mad.
Look grumpy even when you're winning. Powerful, stern.
And how about this? James Golding leading or up near the front, just like he was in the All-Stars eSeries. And Jackson Suzlin-Harlow, who had a grid penalty, as you mentioned, Chad, has made his way up through the field. So we're going to look at gaps here, which is critical. The leading driver who's made a pit stop is Ethan Grigol, as Suzlin-Harlow dives to the inside.
They bang more than doors, and there's no redressing going on here. He's out of there.
So I think the lead's with Ethan Grigol. I think he's got the gap on these two. It's going to be awfully close once they come into the lane. The only question is, can he hold the gap after the pit stops? Because his tyres, and he's lucky because Interlagos is a low degradation circuit, but his tyres will hopefully last until lap 13.
He's 2 seconds a lap quicker. He's going to brain these guys. Ethan Grigol last time by 2 seconds quicker than the leaders, courtesy of the fact that they're having a pretty big scrap. So this is going to work out very nicely for the Shannon's insurance car after they've all filtered through, and potentially getting his first race win of the year. First since Alton Park last year, but we've still got a long way to go. Team 18 have pretty good real estate in pit lane. Down the end.
That actually gives you a very poor angle to exit. It's actually a detriment, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like he has to actually turn right to turn left.
And away he goes in the Sid Chrome car. So cool to have James Golding on the grid for this championship, because one of the first announcements that happened back before the series was launched around October, and back onto the back straight with Benny Smith in the Kelly racing car. And there's been plenty going on. Let's check out one of our Lenovo Savage moments in what's been a fairly hectic start to the race. And it was the fight for the lead between the R&J Batteries Brad Jones racing car, sticking the nose in. Was it to the B pillar? Either way, he's through.
Can't tell from that angle, but it didn't look like it.
That really is a savage moment.
And further back, Jordan Caruso in the Repco car. And poor James Golding's in everything.
Oh, no.
That's going to be huge. He's going to do a James Courtney.
That's exactly like the accident Formula One had here in 2009 on the opening lap between Adrian Sutil and Jarno Trulli. Exact carbon copy.
Only in supercars.
He nearly recovered it. Nearly did the full 360 and kept going.
Keep the boot in it.
Exactly.
Well, the bad news is he's down in second last, James Golding. Ethan Grigol, we think, is probably going to win this race, but as we talked about, strategy is wide open. Will those tyres last the distance? And how about this for a cracking scrap? Try and have a guess at which BP cars belong to who.
Well, let's have a look. We've got the 99 Emily Jones, the 98 of Forza El Nabi going side by side. And Josh Rogers will try and leg it away from this pack. It's done pretty good here off the back. Although not as high as you would have liked, courtesy of a 10.5 second pit stop. So hasn't gone peeling through them as quickly as he has at some of the other reverse grid races. Having to work for this one.
And so the way they're going to finish at the moment, the championship will go down to Phillip Island at the final race. It's not over yet for Dane Warren, for Madison Down or Jared Philsell here, who we're watching on screen, trying to make his way around the outside of the Coca-Cola Racing Commodore. And he's got a huge Mustang in front of him of Sam Blacklock for Shell V-Power Racing, who picked up a win this season, don't forget, in a reverse grid event.
So Philsell's probably got the best pace out of the drivers around him, and a chance to try and pick up some last-minute spots, getting closer to the big money at the head of the field. So Dane Warren, third at the moment. When do you want to see the number 2 in the pits here, Ryan? Stay out and get the clean air?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, he's getting the clear air there, and at the moment, I guess, where will he come out if he comes down? I mean, how many seconds is the pit stop here?
About 20.
About 20
seconds. Yep. So he come out about.
He'd be ahead of Josh and Benjamin Smith.
He'd be right there, I reckon. With Josh, actually. Yeah.
Well, it's going to keep the
maybe just in front. Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's going to go to the last race if it stays the way it's looking for now. Blacklock under pressure from Phil Sell. Josh Anderson in that fight as well in the Coca-Cola car. Had a rough race so far. This is a win that got away from Josh Anderson today. Just couldn't quite get clear of James Golding and got knocked off the road, which did not help.
Look how fast they travel up towards Ferradura here using our Seiko 5 telemetry. 220 is actually him lifting off. The drivers can reach up to 230 there in qualifying. Oh, and Phil Sell's gone for it.
Oh, that's aggressive. Absolutely backed that in.
Savage moment.
By Lenovo.
And he got one back as well. Blacklock return serve. Loving the little break-evens that we're getting out there at the moment. And the wildcard will have a piece of this scrap as well, whose car is looking surprisingly clean in all of this. That's James Scott. And they'll go side by side with Jared Philsell.
James Scott's running a BP Ultimate Commodore opposed to his teammates who are running the Mustangs.
It's from Loftus in New South Wales, which is near the Royal National Park. Lovely part of the world, very leafy.
It is known for its leafiness.
Being a national park. Cooper Webster, we're riding aboard with him in the Guile Seiko 5 car. You get the feeling everything's about to fall in his lap here in a moment.
Yeah.
There goes one.
Keeps his nose clean, he'll be fine.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
3 wide.
How cool is this? iRacing at its best.
Champagne racing.
Onto the back stretch. Philsell with the speed, but no way through at the moment. This is a good sign that James Scott's going to be very quick next year when he joins the championship for real after winning that BP competition, the race to win competition. Beat 5 other drivers to get the gig and gets a little wildcard rehearsal as they go side by side again up through the hill. This is Webster putting the hurry on the back of the 38.
Oh, deja vu. Much cleaner for Philsell, but he's opened the door up for Cooper Webster. 2 of the best drivers this season squabbling for vital points and positions outside the top 10. What a cracking scrap. It's gone on for lap after lap after lap, and I can see why your top 6 drivers in the field are yet to pit. They want none of this.
Wow. Josh Rogers absolutely schooled Ben Smith then. That was brutal. Just cruised around the outside of him and set him up perfectly. And now he'll be on the back of Webster and Philsell. Man, he's good.
Yeah, he's making up some ground, isn't he?
Jeez, he's quick.
He's like a furious salmon fighting his way upstream. He really wants to go and fertilize those eggs.
Yes. One of your furious fish is in the lane, Dame Warren.
Who invited David Attenborough? Philsell now into the wild card. Here comes Rogers on the scene. Philsell sideways onto the back straight. Rogers is going to get them all here. He's timed his run perfectly.
Oh, no.
Nice
3 wide, go for the gap. Oh, there was a chance. Egging him on from the commentary box to the outside of Philsell. Teammates last year.
And Dame Warren's ahead of him. I don't know if you saw the middies car a few lengths up the road, but he's ahead of them here by a couple of seconds.
Wow, so there you go. The strategy was definitely to stay out.
Well for Dane.
And he's going to have fresh rubber for the rest of the event. So he should be about a second a lap quicker for the next 4 laps, I would predict. Let's look at these 2 former teammates. Side by side.
Now enemies.
And he's just absolutely placing that car where he wants it.
Dueling on tarmac.
That was cool. Philsell gave him a shot back then, pushed him wide.
Now, Ryan, you said last year that your team put in a lot of research into finding the 2 best drivers.
Yep.
You've got the 2 best drivers this year. What goes into that?
Well, last year the number 1 driver we wanted to get was Josh, because his pedigree was obviously his reputation came before him. So you know, he was our #1 guy, and you know, we actually spoke to Josh and a couple of other people who we know in esports and iRacing, and asked for some suggestions. And Dane's name came up, as did Jared's, and I think Jared, we actually spoke to him before we ever spoke to Dane, and you know, he was keen to join us. So obviously now he's decided to go over to the dark side, over at Red Bull, and everyone makes mistakes, I guess, but you know, we've been really happy with Dane. He's obviously works IRL with Josh, and they work quite well with each other outside of the Supercars eSeries. So you know, it's that's definitely been an improvement for us, and you know, we really reaped the rewards of that this year. I think he's pushed Josh really well throughout the year as well, which is you know, one of the reasons that Josh has had such a good season. So as a team, it's you know, it's been fantastic.
Oh, who's flashing the lights in the background? That's a good move. I like that. Get on the lights nice and early.
That's James Scott.
James is the wild card.
I like it.
I like that.
Ballsy.
We've invited him for a night, and here he is, having a crack, flashing the headlights.
Tough guy already. He's been in one race.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. So still waiting for Richard Hampstead and Madison Down to make their stops. Otherwise, the battle for the lead between Ethan Griggolt and Andrew Gilliam is only 0.2 of a second between those two as well. I feel sorry for our director, Brian Forshaw, because there is no way he can pick apart which battle to look at right now, because throughout the field, I think the entire field from 3rd down to 20th is spread by 8 seconds. Here comes Madison Down and Richard Hampstead for their one compulsory pit stop.
So made the most of the clean air. Let's see if it's going to pay off for Tickford and for Brad Jones Racing. Well, Jonathan, you hand-picked the circuit for the series tonight, and it is paying off. This has been really exciting stuff. One of the best of the series so far, and this could be for the race win as Gilliam gets to the inside of Ethan Griggolt, and this could be a 4-car scrap for a win tonight.
It's truck assist versus Shannon's.
This is good down the back straight, and flashing the headlights is Josh Muggleton looking for his first podium of the series.
I have heard that in iRacing, flashing your headlights is a little bit like the boost button you have in Formula E. It gives you an additional couple of Ks an hour.
And out of nowhere, Suzlin Harlow gets to the lead.
2 positions in one or a couple of corners for Suzlin Harlow. Gilliam's going to fight like there's no tomorrow. 1.5 laps remaining.
Muggleton saying he's not going to be the nice guy anymore, and here he comes to the inside. This is awesome. Not long to go here at Sao Paulo. Can Andrew Gilliam hold on?
2.5 laps remaining. Correction. As they head into the Pico de Pato. Now, we saw how ecstatic Andrew Gilliam was when he won the Seiko 5 shootout. Imagine winning a race.
Well, Dane Warren's caught this pack now as well, so this isn't over. He's 6th. He's got 2 laps to try and dissect cars on older tyres. And the first one's going to be Muggleton. Muggleton give him the room. He does. He's through. He's 5th. Dane Warren can win this race. He's got the tyre life to do it. He just needs everyone ahead of him to keep fighting.
But don't forget, Chad, Suzlin Harlow and Jake Burton have better tyre life than Dane Warren. I think this is day done for Gilliam. I think Suzlin Harlow is going to pick him apart. And Jake Burton's also in with a shot at 2nd place.
Oh, they lean on each other. Desperately trying to hang on. Oh. Is Andrew Gilliam, and that was awesome. Suzlin Harlow around the outside. And he might be clear now. And that might be a chance for him to skip away as Madison Down sets the Seiko 5 fastest lap on fresh tyres. And another battle pack behind them. Burton swings to the outside. Warren with a ton of momentum, but nowhere to go. The truck assist car is out on its feet. Ethan Griggolt was first to pit in this pack as well, so his tyre life will be shod right now. And he's off as well. Off the bumper, or at least off the hip, I should say.
I think it was off the Dunlop, wasn't it?
Wheel to wheel, and off he goes. Burton with a huge dive bomb to the inside of Gilliam.
Oh, come on, boy.
Getting pushed along by the team boss around the outside. Gilliam leaves him just enough room. And he's through, and he's on the podium from 2nd last. 1 to go next time by.
And so with 150 points available at the final race, the gap between Rogers and Warren live at the moment is 74 points. These are important points for Warren. Whether he wins or not, every position matters for him. You never know, the luck could be on your side in that final event at Phillip Island. Absolutely.
If anything, it's helping him secure 2nd in the championship, which comes with a $7,500 payday. Buy some pretty sweet equipment with $7,500.
Buy a lot of beer and wine with $7.5 grand.
I was about to say, I'd do that because he probably gets everything for free.
Well, not long to go in this one. Let's ride on board with Dane Warren, crank it up. Sure sounds of the game. Can he catch them? I don't think he's done yet. Love the sound of iRacing howling down this back straight as the big V8 eats this Interlagos track up on the last lap of the race. Final time around in Brazil. Jackson Suzlin-Harlow trying to push for a Brad Jones Racing 1-2. There's a Walkinshaw car in this fight. And it's Dane Warren, second in the championship. And this is where he's been really strong. Doesn't have a look to the inside of Burton yet. Burton a podium last week, trying to back that up today. Final couple of corners for the R&J Batteries car. And Brad Jones Racing might just hang on to a 1-2. We've had 1-2s last week for Triple Eight, Walkinshaw and Andretti United, and now Brad Jones Racing as well, as the Supercars teams sweep through the eSeries. Jackson Suzlin-Harlow wins his second race, and it's another reverse grid race. Well done to JSH.
Good race, that was fun, awesome.
Add another trophy to that very impressive trophy room. Burton, I'm not sure he's overly impressed with second.
He doesn't look it, does he?
Doesn't look thrilled.
No.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Filthy, as a matter of fact. And Dane Warren, incredible. 18 spots he gained. That's what you're paying for right there, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Earning his keep tonight. From 21st on the grid to third on your Repco results. As Jackson Suzlin-Harlow wins his second race. I think Jake Burton knew that was his last chance to win a race this eSeries. And not to be. Dane Warren, third, great drive. Ethan Griggould couldn't quite hang on that first lap pit stop, not quite paying off in the end. Good drive from the Tickford cars inside the top 10. Outside of that, looking for some big names in Madison Down, the biggest of the lot, 13th, and that could just about be second in the championship. Gone for the Brad Jones Racing driver. Wow. Good luck fitting that into a Repco highlights package. Let's see if it's doable, because that was pretty good fun. It started with car 440 in the Sig Chrome entry of James Golding on pole position. And he stuck there for a while as further back Brady Myers went for a spin. Race 16 Repco highlights. Anderson got through, but then Golding, well, gave him a little bit of a nudge. There was plenty of that, Ryan, throughout the course of this very, very exciting race.
You're right, there was a lot of nudging in that race, Chad. Lots of nudging. Good nudges, some bad nudges. You all know how bad the bad nudge can go.
Yes, this is like a circa 1995 British touring car race, this one. Plenty going on. Harley Haber wanted a bit of that one. That was payback on the Penrite. How cool was that? And your boy Josh Rogers, lucky to get away with that one.
Lucky to get rid of that one.
So Dane Warren was behind him at that point and finished up 6 spots ahead of him. That was the fight for the lead, which involved a few cars at one point. Jackson Suzlin-Harlow had to get very aggressive. Jordan Caruso was a little aggressive there on James Golding. There was plenty of this going on. Get out of my way. So the Triple Eight car came through. We've seen plenty of that over the years. Red Bull and Shell V-Power Racing slapping doors. And this was ultimately the fight for the lead. Andrew Gilliam did his best, but the race-winning move for the R&J Batteries car went around the outside. That was aggressive, got it done. Jake Burton tried to go through with him. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what Jake Burton's upset about, because he was unhappy with second.
Well, he didn't win.
Yeah,
he wants to win.
I think he wanted to win a race.
That's it.
And he didn't.
Thought it was a pretty good result.
A little bit salty about it, but it's fair play. As you say, it was probably one of his last times to be able to get one.
All right, well done on the Repco highlights to our race winner, Jackson Suzlin-Harlow and the crew at R&J Batteries. We need a very short break, but the final race of the championship is coming up. Who are we going to send $10,000 to? Stick around.
Repco Supercars Pro eSeries, proudly brought to you by Coin. Be part of where the world is going.
Hi, Steve's, thanks.
Good choice. Maybe $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts. From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
Hi, Steve's, thanks.
Good choice. Maybe $52.99, thanks.
Thanks.
Repco, it starts with the parts.
The Repco Supercars Pro eSeries, proudly brought to you by Coin. Be part of where the world is going.
Time to kick it old school as we get set to wrap up the championship at Phillip Island, just like it's the mid-2000s once again. This is a really cool track to go around on iRacing, one of the 3 Aussie tracks in the game. Jonathan's going to talk us through it in our next level racing preview.
Welcome to Phillip Island, home to MotoGP and home to the first ever 4-wheel Australian Grand Prix nearly 100 years ago. Onto the Gardner Straight to begin the lap. Should be renamed Rick Kelly Memorial Straight after he was shot to the moon here during the All-Stars eSeries. And easily onto the brakes heading into Doohan Corner. This Thrustmaster wheel gives me such great feel and so much confidence heading to the Southern Loop. Hug the inside, which is where all the lap time's found around here. There's a bit of camber on the apex there, so you're going to be right up close to the curb. Approach Stoner Corner, and then into Honda Corner, the scene of the spectacular accident with James Courtney and Alex Premer back in 2013. Short shift on the exit, heading into Siberia. Brilliant brake pedal feel as I hug the curb here. These Thrustmaster pedals give me so much confidence heading out of the corner. This circuit just has so much personality and character to it. You can't drive it as if it's flat. The elevation and the characteristics make it so challenging, such as here. Into Lukey Heights, understeer central, and then the downhill braking zone into MG, where this next level racing GT track gives me so much comfort as I ease myself onto the brake pedal and on towards the final couple of corners. Pit lane entry to the left. We're going to continue though to the final corner and the 900-meter long Gardner Straight here. A brilliant drafting opportunity during the race. That's a lap of our beloved Phillip Island.
Thankfully, no Cape Barron geese have been built into the game. This is what we're looking at as we get set for our first 2-stopper of the series.
It certainly is, and the first in series history, the final race of the championship. Now, strategy is very interesting for this one. The drivers begin the race with 35 litres of fuel on board, much lower than we had at Spa. and they're going to have to take more fuel than we had at Monza 2. That's going to require about 20 to 25 seconds of fuel across 2 stops. You've got overcuts, undercuts, long fuel, short fuel, even splits. We need about 1,500 Repco Racefact segments to cover it, so I think we'll stop there and head to the race.
All right, let's check out who's going to be starting on pole, because we had the coin qualifying session earlier in the day, and it was his last one of the championship. A lucky 7 for Josh Rogers. Coin pole awards just coming out of the ears at the moment, and what's that, 3,500 virtual digital currency thanks to coin.
Yeah, and it was the closest gap in qualifying history in our eSeries on a road course. So brilliant stuff for Josh Rogers, and he nabbed it on the line against Dane Warren. It was a last-second pole position.
So it is an all-front row once again on our Seiko 5 starting grid for Walkinshaw Andretti United. And at that stage, Dane Warren was bitterly disappointed because he had it, and then by about 16 thousandths of a second, he didn't have it. So it's going to be alongside his teammate once again. All Brad Jones Racing coming out of row number 2. Pair of yellow cars lining up. Andrew Gilliam, nice starting spot for him. And how about these BJR cars tonight? They are absolutely on the money. 3 inside the top 6. Richard Hampstead, another Tickford car, and then it's Josh Anderson in the Coca-Cola Team Sydney car. Jordan Caruso fighting for some money, needs to get a move on from row number 5 with Forzen El Nabi. James Scott out of 11 for this one. He's our wild card alongside Harley Haber, Sam Blacklock, Brady Myers out of 14. Haven't seen too much of Brady Myers tonight. He's just going under the radar. Ethan Griggoult out of 15. Jared Fieldcell, not his best performance out of row number 8, but does pass cars. Cooper Webster also, he's been at the front of the field tonight. He's got to come from the back in this one alongside Job Stewart, Benny Smith, and Josh Muggleton will line up on row number 10. Behind him, it's EJ, Emily Jones, and James Golding, who was right at the front of that last one. And I do believe that Jake Blackhall will not be getting up for this one. Once again, it is the last race of the championship. Who's going to be taking the win between these two? 150 points on offer. Warren needs to win this race and pretty much hope that there's some sort of German internet failure that's going to happen in Gronau in Germany, because that's what it's going to take the win away from Josh Rogers. Can he go back-to-back championships? Will it be another 1-2 for Walkinshaw Andretti United in the championship? Can Madison Down, starting 3rd, climb up some much-needed spots and get a huge bank of points? For the final time, let's go racing with the Repco Supercars Pro eSeries. This is your 17th and final race of the championship. 2 pit stops. There'll be strategies. There'll be lots to think about. There's the points. There's the money. Who's going to be taking all that cold, hard cash? Up come the revs. And away we go. It's a long run down to the first corner. There is a chance to make some moves by then, particularly if you're off that second run, you've got a good start. And finally, Rogers has a bad start. He's first off the series, and he's getting swamped down there at turn 1, and he's into the back of the Dunlop car. He's pushed someone off at the first corner, and if there's a penalty for that, that could be absolutely game-changing. Right when he didn't need something to go wrong.
150 points for the winner here. So every position lost for Rogers is costly. Warren is still in with a shot at the championship.
And it's on down at the Honda hairpin. The fight is on as around goes someone out of the back in a different livery, so that can happen. You can accidentally queue in a different car, and I think that might have been Brady Myers. He did that last week, and he parked himself in James Golding on the way out. It was Brady Myers. He's had exactly the same problem that struck him last week. Loaded the wrong car into the matrix.
Would you be happy with that as a team boss?
Oh, I would find it slightly vexing.
That's a good way of putting it. Across the top, we go with Dane Warren, Madison Town, and Jackson Suzlin Harlow. What is going to happen to the 25? How will Justin Rugia score this one? It's definitely going to be a Lenovo Savage moment, and it all happened down at turn 1, lap 1.
Savage moment.
On this one for Brady Myers as well at turn 4. Oh. Remember when we had our very first All-Star race here?
Nice, Savage.
There was like 6 or 7 cars that made it through out of the 25 cars that we had starting.
Well, that was because Lee Holdsworth was knocked at Doohan Corner, and he actually cut the entire track and ended up at Honda.
Oh, good. Well, that was pretty wild. It's going to leave Justin Rugia with some pretty big decisions to make off the back of that one. And Josh Rogers will be hoping that the referee in this scenario, our driving standard observer, Justin Rugia, doesn't pull the trigger. He's 6th at the moment, down 5 spots. And if he was to get a penalty, that could have massive ramifications in this championship.
Those are very early pit stops for Emily Jones, Richard Hampstead, Benjamin Smith and James Golding.
We can do it on a two-stopper.
You can, but the fact that we need to write all these pit times down is going to be a challenging race in terms of strategy. Madison Down as well, mathematically can still win the championship. And like I said, you'll need to sabotage Dane Warren's race and Josh Rogers and then win the race.
Well, this is a chance to cue in with our driving standards observer right now. Justin Rougier on the line. How do you score that one down at turn 1?
Yeah, far out. It's been an eventful night, but yeah, car 25 into 8. Obviously first lap. So yeah, it's not looking good for 25 at this stage. So we're just still reviewing, but pretty obvious that he's made contact and pretty much ruined the race for car 8.
So if you choose to make a penalty, are you going to try and do it during the race? Because obviously that will have a huge say in the points.
Definitely, mate. We always want to try and do it during the race, whether it's a pit lane penalty. So yeah, we'll get onto it quick.
And Justin, we haven't spoken about this to you all series, but you've raced against some of these drivers too. Obviously, there's no bias that comes into it, but you've got to have some memories and some bias from the past, surely.
Yeah, I think, you know, as you know, mate, with sim racing, you've obviously got to look at it a bit differently with internet connections, the rate of the cars, how they change direction. So you've got to look at it. You've got to split the scene up a lot to make sure that we make the right decisions for these drivers.
All right, thank you, Justin. Now, he's got the unenviable job of potentially penalising car 25. As he said, Ryan, it's not looking good for Josh Rogers, was his way of putting it.
Yeah, no, I'll be interested to see what the penalty is. You know, and only seeing that angle in the first corner as well, it's hard to fully gauge it. But yeah, I think his assessment is pretty fair. I think Josh ended up getting pushed a little bit wide there and ended up getting some contacts on the Dunlop car. So yeah, fully expect there's going to be a penalty there. Just be interesting to see what the extent of that is.
So really, from what we've seen so far this year, the penalties can either be 5 seconds, 10 seconds added post-race, or a drive-through. Drive-through would be very harsh.
Yeah, you'd hope it would be a drive-through. You'd rather have. Can you take the 5 or 10 seconds during a pit stop? Cars or not?
No,
you can't.
As he comes in now for his first stop anyway. So trying to get himself out of the traffic. Now, hang on, if he stops, it's a pit stop. If he doesn't stop, it's a drive-through, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just wondering that. No, it looks like he's going for a pit.
Yep, so scheduled pitch stop here, BP Ultimate pit lane.
And that's probably wise. He needs to try and make some ground up on some clean air to try, if he's going to get a 5 or 10 seconder, to try and use that now to try and get some clean air and get some speed and get some track position. So fingers crossed it works for him.
So this is very similar to what we would see on a Sunday race at Supercars at 250k. So 2 stops and you have to take on enough fuel to get home. So it almost becomes like a fuel drop race. So how do you sort those 2 pit stops out where you take your fuel on?
And Josh Rogers has decided to long fuel his first stop, the longest stop of anyone in the field. Now, I'm not sure if that's because that's a trend he's had all season. He's tend to have, and I blame the Walkinshaw pit crew here, Ryan, but he's had the longest stops of the year for most of these fuel races, but 16.3 seconds. So that means he's going to have a shorter second stop.
Ryan's going to have the Walkinshaw crew.
That might work for him. It'll be interesting to see what Dane does now, because Dane's now actually genuinely in the fight here, which is fantastic. I mean, who'd have known it would come down to the wire in this final race? So it's definitely made it exciting for everyone.
And he's never crossed the line, Dane Warren, in first place. He's got a career race win. That was at Silverstone.
Yep.
But that was because Josh Rogers received a post-race penalty. So if he wins this, it'll be a great way to cap off the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's no one who deserves it more than Dane probably getting the win in this race, because, you know, he's been a shining star all season, and you know, if it wasn't for Josh, you know, he'd have plenty of race wins under his belt. So you know, I said to, as I was going into this evening, you know, I'd love to see Dane get a win. It'll be one of my highlights tonight if he does. So I'll be really hopeful and happy that happens. And you know, if he does that as well, it should at least secure his second place at best. And you know, depending on what happens with Josh, he's got a good chance of having a crack at actually winning it, which would be pretty fantastic with no race wins.
It would be a complete smash and grab, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't, yeah.
He somehow stole this championship tonight.
Going down the service station and stealing a Toblerone.
That is going to be incredible if he manages to pull that one off. Maybe. So word is coming through now, 10-second penalty post-race for the 25. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know without knowing the specifics of the rule book, but it sounds pretty much fair. He took him, he ended up getting contact with him. which caused him to go wide. And you know, obviously the race is pretty much ruined by the looks of things.
What he needs is for this race to stay safety car free as well, because a safety car will kill him tonight if it's a 10-second penalty. He needs this race to string out over the course of all 23 laps.
Richard Hampson's come in for his second pit stop already, and he's fueled to make it home. The critical lap's lap 2.
That's an aggressive strategy.
Very garish.
The thing is, tyre degradation's normally low at Phillip Island when we visit here for supercars, but in the sim, the tyres can last a good distance.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
Let's try and pull it off.
That works out for him.
How cool is this circuit? Diving down through Doohan Corner, down the Southern Loop. So there's Doohan Corner, Gardner Straight, and Stoner Corner, all world champions on 2 wheels. We've got an Aussie heading over to Ducati next year, and Jack Miller. If he can pull off a championship, does he get a corner named after him at Phillip Island? There's a couple of corners unnamed at turn 11 and turn 12.
Let's hope he does.
Miller Bend corner's got a nice ring, doesn't it?
Well, if you win the MotoGP world title, you can have it.
I might be past my prime in that, unfortunately, especially with some of my COVID fat.
You and Mark Marquez.
Very slow motorbike.
So Dane Warren's built out a nice, pretty lead here over Madison Down as we go through the hay shed.
Jake Burton's had a very short second stop. Oh, sorry, first stop, excuse me, and he's decided to short fuel. I think this is all going to matter when we do the second stop. So we're talking about all of this now, but this is a learning curve because the drivers have never faced a 2 compulsory pit stop race. They haven't had to start on such a low fuel load as we ride on board with Andrew Gilliam. And every lap is a learning curve, not just for us in the commentary booth, not just for us as drivers, but for you sitting at home as well.
You mentioned it in your Next Level Racing preview, going past where the Kellycopter incident happened. Right about here was where Rick Kelly was sent into orbit in the opening round of the All-Stars E-Series.
What was your favourite moment of the All-Stars?
That was probably up there.
Norris in the pit lane?
Yeah, that was pretty special. I actually quite liked Zach Brown on the grid on the celebrity race at Bathurst, where he got a small little tag in the rear and decided to go full send and take a couple of people out. So that was pretty funny.
It was good times in that. There could be a move on here at turn 4. We'll just keep an eye on this. Suzlin Harlow going defensive. He's having a hell of a run tonight, Jackson Suzlin Harlow. Might just book himself a spot in our Lenovo top performers. You mentioned the celebrity race. All up, we've had 17 nights of E-Series action this year across the All-Stars, the celebrities, and the Pro E-Series. It's a lot of iRacing. So when are the next pit stops coming up here then, Jonathan?
It depends. I expected the second pit window to be around the lap 15 range, give or take a few laps, but it seems at the moment the drivers are really taking some bold strategies, as we spoke about. Some drivers have short fueled, some drivers have long fueled. I'm mad at work here on the desk, just trying to write down these pit times, because we said the drivers need roughly around 25 litres of fuel to make the end of the race. Some drivers have gone for 16, others for 10. Dane Warren here is reacting because Madison Down has had a 12-second pit stop, and hopefully he appears in the lead.
All right, so first round of pit stops coming to an end. Where is this all going to wash out for Dane Warren? Looking comfortable at the moment. Just a bit of an update as well. You brought up the idea of holding a car in the pit lane like we do in real life, and they're actually going to do that with Josh Rogers via race control. So when Rogers serves his second pit stop, they're going to hold him in pit lane for 10 seconds. So it's not going to be a post-race penalty. This will give us a better idea of what the championship point scenario is going to be towards the end of the race, which is very smart.
I think it's a smart move. You know, people want to see the race. People want to see especially the finale like this when you're battling for the championship. They want to see that battle happen on track and not have any post-race events that influence that. So I think that's a smart move, and well played to the guys for doing that.
It's a good call.
Very good call.
Through the Southern Loop. Get that second apex and back down on the loud pedal. This is Josh Rogers that we're riding with right now. So he will be held for 10 seconds at his next pit stop. If this race stays green, I think he still wins this championship, but it's certainly not over yet. Particularly if he does a Scott McLaughlin like Newcastle a couple of years ago and gets another penalty on top of that one. So anything can happen.
what a finish that year was.
This actually has a little bit of that about it right now.
It definitely does.
Pulling himself back through the field.
And we've had champions. Now, Dane Warren's technically won a race, but we've had champions in motorsport who haven't won a race. I think Yoni Weeman in Red Bull GRC, Matt Crafton last year.
Yep.
In the truck series for NASCAR. And there's probably been more.
We did win Silverstone, he just didn't cross the line first.
That doesn't count.
Doesn't count. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Jonathan. You've got the Excel file open in front of you.
Oh, geez.
Where does Rogers need to finish to win the championship? That's the scenario. I remember when it was Newcastle, we all said McLaughlin needs 11th to win. Well, where does Rogers need to get to if Dane Warren wins this motor race?
I think I've got it. I think it's 10th.
10th. Oh, wow.
So Warren wins. Rogers needs to be 10th or higher to win the championship.
This is spooky
similar. I think Warren is in with a great shot to win this championship here.
Wow.
That is a very harsh penalty for Rogers. I personally didn't think it was worth 10 seconds. But if anyone's going to make up the time, Ryan, it's your man, Josh Rogers.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my perspective, you know, the two people we're talking about winning the championship are Josh and Dane. So, you know, either way, I'll hopefully be a happy man at the end of the day. But, you know, for TV, for the fans, this is an extremely exciting race because it really is wide open now, which I think a lot of people thought it was pretty much a foregone conclusion going into it.
Yep.
It just shows you the beauty of motorsport that, you know, when it comes to crunch time, you know, you can have some pretty magical moments, and this is going to be a very special race, however it pans out.
Shades of 2017 at Newcastle unfolding as Rogers, still yet to serve a penalty, sits 8th now with pretty much the first round of pit stops completed. Will take 10 seconds off the back of the next one. He's going to be in struggle street to win this race, and it's all come through penalties. He's easily been the quickest driver in the field. Is he coming in this time by? Not quite, but it's just been the penalties that he's picked up. So he picked up 3 penalties in the opening night for not using the pit lane limiter. He got another one at Montreal for contact with Josh Muggleton, and now one tonight. He's had the better part of nearly a minute's worth of penalties, which is obviously what's unraveled things.
I think the ovals have made the difference, really, because he did win one, but I think without those, he would have walked away with the championship.
Well, no, I disagree. He had a 6-point lead coming into the ovals and a 100-point lead leaving the oval rounds.
Touche.
So, yeah, he actually did surprisingly well on those ovals as well. So he survived that wild card, and it'd be amazing if he's given it away in the last race of the night. Still plenty going on back in the pack as Harley Haber muscles his way through on Jordan Caruso through the almost non-existent turn 5 that connects you to Siberia. And that was pretty cool. Let's ride on board. Crank it up. Turn it up nice and loud. Wake everyone up. It's 10 p.m. on the East Coast. This is your sure sounds of the game. Flat out around this awesome 12-turn 4.4K circuit, and look who's in pit lane. So we'll have a pretty good scenario of how many spots he needs to climb after this. They'll hold him for 10 seconds off the back of this. So car goes up, it's about 10 seconds worth of fuel to go in, along with tyres. Win, lose or draw, he's usually got that face on him face. So this is the effect it's going to have as everyone just cruises by. 5 seconds left to go. He can start driving away. It's a long hold.
Yeah.
It felt like a really long 10 seconds, Ryan.
Yeah, it did. I think that was a little bit longer than 10 seconds, whatever happened there. But, yeah, he'll probably be pretty disappointed with that.
22-second stationary time all up, including the pit stop and the penalty. Can he drive his way through the pack? He's at the back now, but there's still more pit stops to go. We won't have a clear picture until everyone serves their second pit stops. What he does have is clear racetrack and typically the fastest car.
I think that's it. I don't think he's... I just don't see him in a top 10 position. I think the championship's going to Dane Warren.
Well, earlier it was in a position, if it was going to be post-race, he was hoping that there wouldn't be a safety car. Now he needs one to bunch the field back up and potentially close everything back up.
That's a good point.
And it would also put everyone back on the same tyre strategy as him as well. So he would have that up his sleeve too. But I don't like the chances of that happening right now because the field was pretty stretched out. We might not get the incident to bring it out. You're watching iRacing. This is the Repco Supercars Pro eSeries. It's been some pretty good Thanksgiving deals on iRacing across the course of the weekend. If you want to go and sign up, I think it's 50% off at the moment. I had a little look yesterday because I'm very much considering it. Oh, we got one off at the Southern Loop. I think it was Josh Anderson. He was so far out, he's down in Penguin country.
You won't be getting a tan this summer, Chad.
No.
Beyond that.
Exactly.
Lovely new sim racing rig.
I do have a next level set up at home now with Thrustmaster wheel and pedals, which is pretty cool. And there's a little bit going on down there at turn 4. Phil Sell on the charge through the hay shed. On the back of Jordan Caruso.
We talk about the excitement of this race. It's kind of like a Shakespearean play, isn't it? You've had the good, the bad, you've had the tragic, the comedy, everything's happening.
It's had all the drama so far.
Very beautiful. Beautiful motorsport.
It's got villains and heroes. Unfortunately for Josh Rogers, he's ended up the villain at the moment. You're feeling very poetic tonight, Ryan. I like this side of you.
Trying to add some light-hearted banter, some wit to the event.
Some much-needed wit.
Some much-needed British wit.
Riding aboard with Harley Haber.
Phil's pushing up pretty hard, isn't he? He's got some big testicles on him. He's going to go and give it a little bit of a lunge here, I think. Oh, look at him go.
I'm pretty sure you're allowed to
side by side.
Yeah.
Oh, he's nudging him. That's 10 seconds right there.
What's good for the goose? That was a fair old move from El Nabi, and Haber's going to give him one back there. He was actually pretty measured. I thought he was going to go full send on the back of El Nabi. I think El Nabi was actually trying to let him back through, looking at that. So he's redressed. And he's lost his quad Ethan Grigul at the same time. So we've crunched the numbers, and we said it was just like Scott McLaughlin 2017. Well, it's exactly like it. He needs to finish 11th to win the championship, which is exactly where McLaughlin needed to finish in a 2-stop race to win the championship in 2017. That's just spooky. 11th to win it.
11th to win.
That's the number. He's currently 22nd, but out of sequence with the majority of the field.
That's a lot of work to do for Josh Rogers. So what is he now? He's 50 seconds off the lead. I don't think we'll even bother trying to calculate this until after the next pit stops. It's possible.
Yeah.
I will say this, it's very possible.
His speed doesn't look great at the moment.
I was going to say his lap times aren't exactly inspiring.
No, 1:31.0 last time by.
He does have a lot of fuel on board for the rest of the race.
True.
Those are, if anything, his lap times are incredible because of the fuel now, if you put it into context.
Yeah, but he's also got substantially fresher tyres than the leaders, and he's 4/10 slower.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it must be quite a bit of fuel.
There's a lot of truths for coming up here.
Yeah.
It's like a Shakespearean play.
It is like, exactly.
Night at the theatre with the Repco Supercars Pro eSeries.
How about Andrew Gilliam, by the way, this season? Who would you pick as a Rookie of the Year?
Oh, that's a good question. Have to think about that.
Jordan Caruso, Cooper Webster. I'll give you some nominees. Those are two of them. Andrew Gilliam's up there.
Jackson, Suzlin, Harlow with 2 race wins would be up there.
They're reverse grid wins. Sorry, Jackson, but
don't count.
This race is good, though. He's in 4.
Yep.
I think Caruso's impressed me, to be honest. He's had a couple of good races.
Oh, 3rd Walkinshaw Andretti United car next year.
Announced.
We're going to do twosomes at Walkinshaw Andretti United.
No, wait, why is
your time get pushed into a threesome by you, Jonathan?
You used to have 4 at one point.
That is true.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah, never again.
Never again.
No, why has your team had 2 entries into this series? Why has Walkinshaw had 2 entries into this season? There are a couple of teams with just 1. I'm always baffled as to how that works.
Oh, because we've got 2 cars with 2 different sponsor groups. So we've got Appliances Online as the major on one car, and Middy's Electrical as the as a sponsor on the other, so we want to go and both show them both some love.
Yeah,
but to be honest, we think we see a lot of value in the eSeries. It's a sellable asset that we use for our partnership group. There's a lot of Nielsen media value data that comes out of it as well, which shows that it's something which is genuinely a sellable asset, and we include that in our sponsorship proposals and also in our current sponsorship deals that are currently on the cars. And so we see having 2 cars in the category is pretty important to represent the 2 cars that we have at IRL. So
yeah, lovely.
This is pretty cool. Good little battle down the front straight on the rejoin. Further to that point, Ryan, what's been pretty cool about the eSeries, including the All-Stars eSeries, is seeing different sponsors involved with supercars at a series level that we typically wouldn't see in the main game.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a little bit, including Logitech, who suddenly turned up in the in the last round from nowhere. So absolutely right. It's a bit of a stepping stone for a lot of sponsors. It allows us to go and talk to sponsors that may not be directly focused on motorsport as an asset and a platform that they want to go and sponsor, but have got a slant towards technology and IT and so on. So, it opens the doors to talk to sponsors outside of the traditional sponsor network that you traditionally see in supercars. So that's only a good thing.
That is the view ahead of Josh Rogers. Nicely said, Ryan. He needs to find 8 spots in 8 laps. It's a big ask.
Very big ask.
If anyone can do it, it's the best in the world, Josh Rogers.
I'm predicting now, I think after all the pit stops are made, Rogers will be P17. These are just my estimations, but then he's going to have to pick off, what do we say, P11 for him.
Yep.
To win the championship. So 6 overtakes.
Well, there's 3 cars in pit lane right now that he'd be hoping to swing past.
That's going to be awfully close. They're all exiting right now. Rogers is a bit too far behind.
Oh, he's turned up the wick a little bit. 30.1 on that last lap.
I think we need to bear in mind that still Dane Warren's at the front and he's leading the race and he's doing a sterling job because, he'll, I'm sure it's already on his mind that he knows he's got to finish there or thereabouts.
Oh, the irony, it's Burton again. Well, there's the 10-second penalty. It's worked out perfectly. They've met each other at the end of the race, and he needed that spot badly. That could be championship defining. There was 100th of a second in that.
And I'm sure Burton will be doing everything he can to let him easily get past, for sure, after what happened in the first lap. So
absolutely.
If he doesn't get in front of him quickly, that's probably his race done and his championship done.
Needs it now at turn 4. Has to go. Not quite close enough. Burton has raced here in real life as well, driving in the Toyota 86 Racing Series.
You can see the ferocity in the face in Burton. The emotion is palpable.
I wouldn't want to play poker with these kids. They're pretty calm. You never really tell what they're thinking. And now Josh Anderson on the back of his namesake, going through the hay shed. It's Jake, Josh, and Josh.
A lot of J's in this series.
There really is.
When I look at my driver's list every week, when I'm doing my commentary prep, I have to scroll down all the way to the end just to get to Madison Down with an M.
Even the wildcard entry today is a James.
Yeah.
To join the 3 Joshes and the Jake that are ahead of him, the Job, the Jared, Jordan, the other James, and the Jackson.
It's like an orgy of J's. They're everywhere you look. And you got an Emily Jones.
That's true. Yep. The only lady racing in the field. Well, this is not something we're used to seeing. It's Josh Rogers on the defensive. As Josh Anderson puts the pressure on. Rogers sitting 18th, and this championship is slipping out of reach.
And not only that, everybody in the field has completed their 2 compulsory pit stops. It's got to be done on the racetrack. Gap from 11th to 18th for Josh Rogers is roughly 5 seconds.
Oh, and he's sideways through Stoner Corner.
Looks like he's lost a bit of pace, Josh. He's falling back a bit.
Yeah, it's just not working out for him.
No.
As he somehow manages to hold it to the inside of Josh Anderson. They'll go side by side all the way up through towards Siberia. This is not helping his cause. There's a massive group of cars ahead of him. He could just about reach out and grab him, but he's gone back a spot. Never mind passing 7 or 8 cars. He's losing spots now. And Dane Warren is somehow going to steal this title. Is this a bogey track for Josh Rogers? He was 2nd in both of the races here last year, so yet to win a race at this track.
And mathematically, between 5th and 6th, whoever finishes ahead of who. So Caruso or Phil Sell will pick up an extra $1,000.
That's pretty cool. One spot to win it then.
What do you reckon they'll spend their $1,000 on between those two?
I hear there's a cheeky after party happening on Friday, so it could be a good night out.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yep.
We invited?
You're definitely invited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we'd always have you on a night out. Particularly down here in the beautiful city of Melbourne. We're allowed to go out again now. Everyone can enjoy it.
Go watch some ballet.
The night on the town. Dane Warren is 5.5 laps away from winning $10,000.
Ballet with poles.
Yeah, here's Warren, Down, Gilliam, the top 3. Harlow, Caruso, the top 5. Phil Sell, Haber, Myers, Hampstead, El Nabi. And these guys are switching spots as Smith slides out through turn 4. Job Stewart on the outside of Cooper Webster. Teenager squaring off. Job Stewart's been impressive at times this year as well. Just 16 years of age, year 10 student. Really cool to see him getting a crack in the Erebus Junior Academy. In this fight, El Nabi picked up a pole award here in the Pro eSeries. Driving against the supercar drivers, and Hampstead in the Monster Energy drink car, and Ethan Griggle dueling Mustangs with Sam Blacklock.
This is perfect for Josh Rogers. If he can make up, because now the gap actually is about 3 seconds, Josh Rogers, 4 seconds to P11. So the more these drivers squabble in these final few laps, it's still in contention here.
Absolutely. They've all got fresher tyres than him, but the way they're fighting, and we know Josh is really good at looking after tyres, it's definitely one of his strong points.
Lovely specs for Richard Hampstead. Forza Navi can use those after round 1 where he was so close to the curved screen.
Looks like he's moved back slightly further. Those big 49-inch curved monitors are pretty epic.
Had a great race here, did on El Nabi, joking. And the All-Stars eSeries took out Scott McLaughlin. He'll be proud of that one. But it was good pressure for him and a great learning curve. He raced probably in the biggest audience he's ever raced in his sim racing career. And this is where that famous moment happened, except it was the other way around. He was behind the Shell V-Power Racing number 17 car. And it was piloted by now a 3-time Supercars champion, not Sam Blacklock, who's also driven quite well this series too.
Emily Jones just passed Josh Rogers, and he's off the track. It's done, it's over. He's off at Siberia. And just like the real Siberia, his chances of $10,000 have gone cold. That was disappointment.
That was good commentary right there.
Thanks,
honestly, that was brilliant.
As cool as the Southern Ocean breeze coming over that circuit, and he is out of action. What has gone wrong for Josh Rogers? It all fell apart. Lap 1, turn 1. Deary dear. Dane Warren can cruise to victory now. Of all the races to finish 21st and just about last. Incredible.
Now, Ryan, did you expect him to win the championship at all as we watch this replay?
What, before going into this race or right now?
Before the series started.
For Dane, well, look, we knew that Dane and Josh, in our opinion, were the 2 best drivers in the series. So, you know, we had high hopes that one of them would be in the championship. We knew they'd both be competing with each other. So it's no surprise that they're both fighting for it. You know, going into this race, I would have probably thought that Josh would have won away with it, and Dane probably would have come second. But you know what? Dane's been there every single race in you know, 2nd or 3rd place. He's just been the sort of quiet achiever behind the scenes. You know, he's kept it really cool, calm and collected, and that's really showing itself today more than anything, right?
Absolutely.
He had a fantastic drive, and you know, it looks like, pending no crazy disturbances in the force, that
well, you know,
that he's probably going to get the championship. So you know.
I've always compared motorsport to ball sports, where let's say you have a 500-point lead in the AFL Grand Final with 1 minute to go, and then your engine fails, you don't win the Grand Final, and that can happen in motorsport. Dane Warren, who luckily is in Victoria, because we know that New South Wales have had some storms tonight. Hopefully no internet disconnects. Dane Warren, actually, his family or his parents ran the Brock Car Club, and they knew Peter Brock very well, and that was his role model growing up. And what a way to do it. The first time he crossed the line in 1st place, his 2nd career win, and he's going to do it in style with potentially a championship. Let's not call it early, because we still have a few laps to go.
He's not home yet. third in last year's championship with Triple Eight, making that big move across to Walkinshaw Andretti United. And he's not too far away. 2.5 laps to go, but there's still plenty of spots to fight for further back in the field, which may be worth some money. Hampstead in the Monster Energy Cam Waters car, driving the car that Cam piloted to second in the championship this year. Chaz Mostert 5th in the title fight this year. First top 5 drivers championship, Ryan, for you in about 10 years as well, which struck me as quite a surprise.
Yeah, it's been a bumpy ride.
Given how many big moments there's been for the team, you always pop up at the big races, which seems to make amends for that. And I think Bryce's 18th in the championship does not do justice to what a great year he had.
No, and he probably would have been a little bit higher if it hadn't been for what happened at Bathurst as well. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, his job this year was to go and take it easy, learn from Chaz, learn from the engineers, and any good result, any podiums he got was going to be a bonus, and he managed to achieve that. So all in all, for Bryce, I think he got a pretty good had a pretty good first season, to be honest. And I think next year, he's going to be one to watch. He's got so much potential, that kid.
His good fortune's rubbing off on Dane Warren right now in the same livery.
Absolutely.
Could be seeing this next year potentially.
Yeah, maybe. Mitty's data and electrical car out the front.
I know that Mitty's interested in the eSeries, so them winning the championship tonight, it's got a lap and a half to do it. I know that they'll be over the moon for that, so that's very, very exciting as well.
Been a while since we've seen a pink car win a championship. Don't see too many of those.
I think some race cars look fantastic in pink.
I totally agree. I've always said we need more pink race cars.
Yeah.
Get the Superflow Cold Trickle style.
Well, we've just signed off the livery for both of our race cars for next season, and I can say that one of them in particular looks very, very exciting in pink. So
okay.
Is it the Middy's car?
you know what? You might be right. You might be spot on.
No, I think Adji appliances on my own car.
Last lap this time by for Dane Warren, who just out of nowhere has arrived to potentially win this championship. Madison Down did his best tonight to try and finish second in the points. He will be third in the championship and bag some pretty good cash as well. $5,000 for third in the championship. This guy getting closer and closer now, about 10 turns away from 10K.
And credit to Jackson Suzlin-Harlow today. Couple of podiums to his name. Let's not let him fly under the radar. He did have that penalty, but he's driven phenomenally since. How about this for Dane Warren? If he can get it done in the next half a lap, it's not over till he crosses the line, but congratulations to him. He has driven so consistently all season, and he deserves it.
Studying mechanical engineering, aiming to work in motorsport in the future. What a cool opportunity this is.
And that's the thing there, right? He's just been cool, calm and collected all season. Quiet achiever.
How about an evaluation test? Can we get him in a car at Winton one day, Ryan?
I'd be more than happy to. I think it'd be very, very cool to give them a crack and see how they go in the real car. They both can clearly drive, and we've seen sim races go into race cars IRL and do a pretty good job.
Well, here he is, last corner in the most unlikely of results. No one could have seen this coming. And Dane Warren from downtown is going to run through and grab the $10,000, and he can barely believe it. We can barely believe it. Dane Warren is the champion for the 2020 Repco Supercars Pro eSeries. Well done.
Boom, well done. Awesome.
It's a Walkinshaw Andretti United 1-2 in the championship once again. And I just don't even have the words to describe really what all transpired then. It was in Josh Rogers' hands. And John, to your, what was it, Herschel Gibbs dropping the World Cup, that was similar. And it just slipped brilliantly through his fingers. I feel for you, Josh, that was tough. 8 race wins, 7 pole awards, a ton of podiums, and lost it in penalties. Wow.
Just when you couldn't give Josh Rogers more motivation, you've given him this.
Yeah.
I can't wait for 2021 already.
Absolutely.
I could just see and I took that personally. line right below him right now. Dane Warren on your Repco race score has just swung through. 21 years of age from here in Melbourne. And that was an incredible move. He's been on iRacing since 2012. And there you have it, 20th position. Never, ever saw that one coming tonight. Josh Rogers, the best in the world, proving that even the best can make mistakes. And we'll surely have to queue up our champion for a chat. Dane Warren, wow, that was just incredible. Let's queue him up right now. The two guys are driving around together right now, getting a push from your teammate, Dane. Well done. Did you have any idea that that was going to happen?
No, absolutely none. I wasn't even expecting to take a race win tonight. You know, it was just a dream, and I think, are you guys just saying the championship as well?
Mate, you have won the championship. I'm no words, honestly. We've had a up and down season, just, you know, not being able to put quali laps together, and I think Josh can hear you right now as well, mate. So we've got Josh on the line as well. So Dane, Josh got a penalty on lap 1. First of all, do you have any words, Dane, for your teammate?
Oh, I'd be stupid not to say that Josh 100% deserved the championship. He was the quickest week in, week out, and it's just the biggest rotten luck that tonight sort of undid for him. So 100% he deserved it, but I guess, yeah, I just got no words.
Who's that in the background? Is that the family celebrating?
The family is popping off. They came in here before all over me, so.
Get him in the shot.
Get him in the shot.
Get him in the shot.
Get them all in,
over. Here we go. Get the family in there. Everyone needs to come in and celebrate. 10,000. Here they are. The party is on.
Fantastic.
Oh my God, you so deserved it.
That is awesome. Ryan, how about that, mate?
Well done, mate.
That's your driver, Ryan.
Fantastic. Congratulations, mate. That was awesome. Both of you guys did the team proud this season, and congratulations, Dane. Awesome job.
Thanks so much, mate.
Absolute scenes. We really need to check in with Josh.
Did you really not know that you got the championship? Amazing.
Chatting with Josh in Germany. Sorry, we'll go over to Josh right now and get a quick word from the poor bloke who is second in the championship. If you weren't in Germany right now, I'd give you a hug. Mate, I'm sorry. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it all started with the start, really. I did plenty of practice starts, and they all seemed well. And then when we jump into the actual one, we burst into wheel spin. And then, I mean, I don't know what happened in zone 1. There was obviously contact with Burton. I don't know whether there was contact from the inside as well. Either way, it was my mistake, and I got the penalty for that. And yeah, from there on, it was just really, really tricky trying to manage the traffic. And obviously, we were a little bit off sequence with the tire, so at the end, trying to keep people behind was just too much of a challenge. And yeah, I know, okay, racing drivers, we like to come up with excuses, but yeah, just everything kind of went wrong in that one. So, but I mean, to be honest, full credit to Dane. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, he was the more consistent of the two. He wasn't getting himself caught up in little incidents here and there. And he was always smooth. So massive congratulations to him. Glad to be able to have been able to work with him this season, with obviously all of the Walk and Troy Andretti United crew, and also the Mac and Phillip from Coenda Simsport as well. You know, it's they put in a massive amount of effort into this too, spotting for us week in, week out, doing the strategy. So massive props to them, as well as obviously all the guys. So thanks to Ryan and Bruce and Scott and AJ and everyone for having me. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can be back next year.
Hey Josh, I think back to round 1, and you won those 2 races there, but then you owned up to not using your pit limiter, which is in the rules, and got the penalties. Had you not owned up to that, you may well have gone on and won the championship.
No, I mean, people were looking at that anyway, so it was pretty clear cut. It was best for me to do that. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, mistakes are mistakes. We all make them, but just a few too many from us this season. So I mean, we'll try and rectify them for next year. But yeah, I mean, gutted to say the least. But you know, it is what it is, and I can't change the past. I can only change the future.
Right, you've got some Scott McLaughlin 2017 vibes about you tonight. Unlucky, buddy. We'll see you next year, no doubt, and you'll be back bigger and stronger. Well done.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Wow, that was a bad beat, to use a poker term. Let's check out the Repco race highlights and a simply incredible final race of the championship. That's the start that he was talking about, the only bad start that he got all season. And then that was the moment. There wasn't much in it. Let's just look from above and see what happened.
That's a tough one, and yeah, from that angle, the angle we got on the replay doesn't give it justice. That was definitely Josh Rogers' fault. The 10-second penalty was definitely, I thought, harsh, but definitely deserved at the end of the day. And then we saw Brady Myers here, and God knows what kind of accident that was. He was supposed to be in the Pioneer DJ car until he loaded the wrong livery, and that accident continued for a second time round as James Golding was turned around. Here is the penalty that decided our 2020 championship. Josh Rogers will be lamenting that, and a whole lot more that went wrong. So many drivers mowed the lawn here, Chad, at the exit of Doohan Corner.
Yeah, ironically, it wasn't the Cup Cadet Mowers car that was out there doing that through turn one. That one was Harley Haber. Cool to have Harley in this championship. And this is poor Josh Rogers trying to fight his way back through the field. And after all that, it was a net code that got him. Just when you know you're out of luck, you have that little issue. There was not even contact, but because of the space between them, that's what happened. And that was the end result. Dane Warren in the Middies Data and Electrical car cruising to his second race win of the year, but the first time that he's crossed the finish line in first position, and the celebration straight away. And I'm not even sure he realised that he'd won the championship until we sort of told him. The family came in to celebrate with him. Ryan, that was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, how good. How good that he actually didn't know he won the championship until his family we all got involved. That's amazing.
I love it.
Very, very happy for Dane.
I reckon the spotters probably knew the scenario, maybe chose not to tell him at the end of that one. Is he going to be our Lenovo top performer as well? Because he drove sublimely in that last race. You can vote on a Lenovo top performer tomorrow on Facebook. We've picked 3 names for you tonight, which are the top 3 in the championship as well. So Dane Warren, Josh Rogers, and Madison Down. Big shout out to Madison Down. Drove really, really well. Mate, congratulations on 1-2 in the championship. Well done. You did it. Well done.
Well done.
Back-to-back on last year. And well done, Jonathan. Good tracks picked tonight by you as well, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Well, credit to me. Thank you. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm going to miss this series. Can't wait for 2021.
17 nights of eSeries action across the course of what's been a really cool year. Thank you for your company. Thanks to all the crew up in Sydney and all the hard work from our Melbourne crew as well. Enjoy the holiday period and have a great summer. Hopefully it's a real free one. We can all go and enjoy this brilliant country and hopefully sneak in for a little bit of eSeries action again next year. Good night.
And away we go. Finally, Rogers has a bad start. He's first off the series, and he's getting swamped down there at turn 1, and he's into the back of the Dunlop car. He's pushed someone off at the first corner. 10-second penalty post-race for 25, and this championship is slipping out of reach. And Dane Warren is somehow going to steal this title.